The Scions of the Seventh Dawn will lead the charge against Zenos, Zodiark, and Fandaniel in Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker expansion. Now, the Scions have been around for a while, rallying people across Eorzea against threat after threat, but they've gone through a lot of changes over the years, and it's easy to lose track of where the Scions started. So, if you forgot, or if you're new to Final Fantasy XIV, or maybe you just really dig the lore, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. Here's their story so far. We need to go all the way back for how the Scions came to be, and by way back I mean all the way to the original Final Fantasy XIV. If you're not aware, the MMORPG first launched in 2010, and the reception was bad, like critical and commercial failure bad. So Square Enix rebooted the game with a new development team and relaunched A Realm Reborn Final Fantasy XIV in 2013. That's the start of the game we know today, and that story is a continuation of what happened in the original Final Fantasy XIV. We'll call that part of the story 1.0 just to make it easier to keep track. 1.0's story takes place in what's known as the 7th Umbral era of Eorzea. Monsters are suddenly a lot more aggressive. One of the planet's moons, Dalamund, is now growing brighter. Urianger notices these changes and takes up the role of prophet, trying to spread the word about Eorzea's impending doom. The Garlean Empire brands him a heretic and puts a price on his head, and that actually leads to the adventurer's first encounter with him. Now, at this point in the story, Urianger is a member of the Circle of Knowing. That's a group of researchers dedicated to the salvation of Eorzea. A lot of familiar faces are here: Y'shtola, Ida, Palpalimo, Thancred, and others. They are led by this man, Louisoix Le Belair. This group and the adventurer help evacuate city-states and influence the original formation of grand companies. We also need to talk about another organization working with the adventurer. That's the Path of the 12. Their name is a reference to the 12. That's the pantheon of gods for Eorzea. Two more familiar faces are here: Minfilia and Tataru. Now, this massive alliance stopped the Garlean Empire's plans of using Dalamund to destroy all primals on the planet. How? Well, Dalamund isn't a natural moon. It's an ancient prison constructed by the Allagan Empire to keep Bahamut locked up. Now, Bahamut is an elder primal, much more powerful and dangerous than the normal ones. Nael Vandarnus of the Garlean Empire set him free, and at this point in the story, he's on the verge of wiping out all life on Eorzea. People everywhere are praying for the 12 to step in and save them, and they answer the call. The 12 imbued Louisoix with enough aether to become a primal. He took to the skies, clashing with Bahamut to save the planet, but he's not strong enough. In one final desperate play, he pierces Bahamut's Terraflare and the Elder Primal's chest. The defeated Bahamut and Louisoix disappear into the Terraflare's explosion. The world is safe for now, thanks to the Circle and the Path of the 12. The 7th Umbral era ends. We're now in the 7th Astral era, the change from Umbral to Astral symbolizing a time of growth and prosperity. Eorzea is rebuilding after Bahamut. Louisoix is gone, but he did have one final request before his death: keep the stars safe. The remnants of the Circle of Knowing and the Path of the 12 come together to form the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, and this is where A Realm Reborn story begins. The Warrior of Light is invited to join by a member of the Scions, who depends on what nation you started in. Ultimately, the Warrior gets this invitation because of their ability to use the Echo. That's the rare gift to resonate with other people's souls and resist the power of primals. The Warrior meets the team at their hideout. That's the Waking Sands in Thanalan. As part of the Scions, the Warrior keeps tabs on three important groups: the Beast Tribes, who are trying to summon primals to cause chaos, the Garlean Empire, who wants the Eorzean Alliance conquered, and the mysterious Scions, who seem to be manipulating the other two. The Warrior's skill with the Echo is crucial in stopping two primals, Ifrit and Titan. After slaying Titan, the Warrior returns from their victory, but there's little to celebrate. They find the Waking Sands raided. The majority of the Scions are dead. Others are missing. The Warrior talks to the Sylph Noraxia, who relays Minfilia's last words before her capture. Neroxia then passes on, leaving the warrior to carry on. A vision from the Echo shows us who is responsible. That is Legatus Livius Sas Junius. The public believes the Scions are disbanded at this point, but there is one person who steps in to help. Alphino Levelaire, Louisoir's grandson. He finds the warrior and Sid Garland, who is suffering from amnesia. Now, Sid is a former Garlean engineer who defected from the Empire. He's a pretty important figure in the story, and Alphino knows they'll need his help to stop the Empire. The party sets out to confront the next awakened primal, Garuda. They win, only to face Legatus Gaius von Belsar, and he reveals his trump card, the Ultima Weapon, a biotechnological creature capable of absorbing primals, and he demonstrates this by capturing Garuda and issues one final warning to the people of Eorzea: kneel or die. The warrior, Alphino, and Sid track down some of their missing members at this point. Y'shtola wasn't at the Waking Sands when it was raided, so she's safe. Ida and Paupalimo managed to escape and also rejoin. Now the party sets their sights on Castrum Sentry. That's a Garlean stronghold in Mordona. They successfully infiltrate the facility, rescuing Tataru, Menphilia, and Urianger. This leads to another encounter with Gaius and Ultima Weapon, one that the Scions barely managed to escape from, and it's at this point we encounter Thancred once more, but he's been possessed by an Ascian calling himself La Habrea. He's been working with Gaius and the Empire all along, someone the Scions have known, trusted for years, fought with against the Empire and Bahamut, now working to bring about the planet's destruction. This shakes the Scions, but they vow to bring Thancred back to their side. The Scions are mostly restored. They travel to each of Eorzea's major cities to convince leaders to unite against Gaius. This leads to Operation Archon. Part of that operation means a frontal assault on Castrum Meridianum. That's Gaius van Belsar's seat of power. You attack this place in order to take down the Magitech field, which protects the Praetorium. At the end of this dungeon, you encounter Livia Sas Junius one more time. She's intent on preventing the Warrior of Light from continuing on to the Praetorium. She starts off piloting a suit of Magitech armor, but she eventually discards the machine and fights the party on the ground. She is defeated and left to die as she cries out for her lord. The combined military force cuts off Gaius' support from the rest of the Empire, allowing the warrior, Sid, and their allies to confront him in the Praetorium. Gaius faces the party alone and comes up short, so he retreats to activate Ultima Weapon, assured by La Habrea that he cannot lose. The party faces Ultima Weapon and with the blessing of the goddess Hydaelyn, manage to defeat it. Gaius curses the Ascians for their interference leading nowhere, but La Habrea insists everything was unfolding according to his plan. He needs to destroy our world, known as Hydaelyn, that's the planet, not the goddess, I know it can be confusing, and ultimately restore his world that was lost long ago. The warrior stands in his way and defeats La Habrea, purging his spirit from Thancred and restoring their friend to his former self. That's the main story for A Realm Reborn. The Ascians and the Empire have been pushed back. Now the Scions can refocus on keeping the Primals in check. But before they do that, the Scions need a new base of operations. The Syndicate, a group of wealthy merchants in Ul'dah, wants them out of the city. So the Scions relocate to the Rising Stones and Revenant's Toll, which is outside any city-stage jurisdiction. Alphino believes the Scions need more help to keep the world safe, so he founds his own grand company, the Crystal Braves. They're also researching white auracite at this time, which has proven to be able to put Ascians down for good instead of returning them to the Rift. At this point in the story, primal summonings are becoming much more common. The Scions deal with Leviathan, Ramu, and Shiva during this time. This is also when another nation reaches out for help, Ishgard. The ancient dragon Midgardsormr is awakened by the roar of his son, who is calling for an all-out assault on Ishgard. Sir Aymeric de Borel, Lord Commander of the Temple Knights, reaches out to the Scions for help. Alphino knows they need to intervene, or they risk Dravania being taken by the Empire. Most Alliance leaders, however, aren't willing to commit many troops, and that's because of ongoing problems in their home regions. However, Flame General Raban of Ul'dah believes in the importance of defending Ishgard and offers to send as many troops as he can. This gives the Syndicate soldiers known as the Brass Blades full control of the city. We'll come back to that. For now, the Scions, Immortal Flames, Temple Knights, and a force of Dragoons led by Ystenian Wormblood successfully stop the dragon's attack on Ishgard. The Grand Companies agree as celebration is in order. They plan the event in Ul'dah, where Ishgard would be formally inducted into the Eorzean Alliance. It seemed like this would be a turning point for the future of Eorzea, and it was, for all the wrong reasons. The Monetarists, which is a faction of the Syndicate, had woven its way into the Crystal Braves to overthrow Ul'dah's leadership. Teleji of the Monetarists and Ilberd of the Crystal Braves hold grudges against Raban and the Warrior of Light. They revealed their deception at the banquet, framing the Scions for the apparent assassination of Sultana Nanamo Ulnamo. Raban lashes out in anger, killing Teleji, only to lose an arm to Ilberd. The Brass Blades and the Crystal Braves are against the Scions now. The warrior wants to fight, but they are overwhelmed. They just don't have the numbers. So the Scions try to flee, but Thancred, Y'shtola, Ida, Palpalimo, and Minfilia are all lost in the chaos. Only the warrior, Alphino, and Tataru escape. What was supposed to be a triumphant moment for the Scions turned into their downfall. Disheartened and alone, the party turns to the only people who will help, the Temple Knights. Sir Aymeric believes their story and offers asylum in the Holy See in Korthus. It seems like we covered a lot, but there's still so much history for the Scions. We'll pick it up with the Heavensward story in part 2. I hope you've enjoyed this adventurer's log, and if you did, hit that like button, and be sure to let me know who your favorite Scion is in the comments. I'd also love some suggestions for future video topics. Until then, take care, and I'll see you next time.